With the recent buffs to Zane's clone, he has been my #1 favorite action skill to use with Zane, and I've been playing with him with so many different weapons and so much different gear. It's honestly just been really fun. And with that being said, I have a top 7 of the best guns for Zane's clone, so that's what we're going to be going over today. Now, before we get into this video, we got to set some ground rules. Basically, the first one being that this is all just my opinion. There are definitely some guns I missed, definitely some guns I left out. I sat on stream the other day and tested like a ton of guns on the clone, and there's actually a ton of guns he's pretty dang good with nowadays. But with that being said, I had to pick 7. These are not only my favorite 7, but at the top of the list are genuinely what I do think are the best. So yeah, it is my opinion and what I've had fun with, but at the same time, I wanted to keep it like kind of objective and, pick some really good stuff. So let's kick things off, and coming in at number 7 is the Nothingness Shotgun. Now, this is a shotgun from DLC 2. You can get this from a crew challenge called Gamork in the Cankerwood. This is kind of like the Malawan's version of the Flacker. And I gave this to the clone the other day, and this thing does some work. Now, this is a splash weapon, so the clone will end up killing himself occasionally with this weapon. A lot of the weapons on this list do happen to be splash, and one tip I want to give real quick is to get this weapon in shock or radiation and then wear a transformer or a red suit. Since the clone gets to wear your shield, he will also have protection from those elements, and then you can use that element nothingness so he doesn't die to himself. One other thing I want to mention is the clone is always summoned with the primary firing mode, no matter what it is, whether it's a Vladoff or a Doll with 2 different weapon firing modes, or if it's a Malawan shotgun like the Nothingness with 2 different elements. The clone will always be summoned with the first element, so keep that in mind. With that being said though, this shotgun is pretty dang awesome on the clone. He does a ton of damage with it. You can use this for mobbing or bossing. Any of the two, and you guys can definitely see that from the clips in the background. Moving on and coming in at number 6, we actually have a Malawan SMG from DLC 1. This is the Embers Purge. Now, you can get this gun from the Ember Mail, which is some challenges in DLC 1. Basically, it's some side challenges, kind of like the crew challenges. Just go through DLC 1 and complete the Ember Mail challenges, and you will be mailed a copy of the Embers Purge. Now, this is a fire-locked Malawan SMG, so it only comes in fire, and that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. But what this does is insane. It absolutely crushes anything that gets inside of the fire puddle. So basically, when you fire this gun, it has a pretty decent chance to create a fire puddle underneath all of the enemies that you are firing at, and it does millions and millions of damage on the Digiclone. You can also honestly shoot this gun yourself and get some good damage out of the fire puddles. Now, this is going to be best against fire enemies. This actually might be my go-to gun for the beginning of the Guardian takedown on true takedown mode, and that's the footage you're watching in the background. These Necrotafeo bugs in the beginning are kind of annoying, and this actually might be the best gun to deal with these enemies. And with that being said though, I actually want to show one clip showing this off against a boss, which should be playing in the background now. But as you guys can see, when the clone summons the puddles with this gun, it does some insane damage. Moving on and coming in at number 5, we have the Grease Trap. Now, this was a gun from the Cartel event that is no longer available, so if you don't have this gun, join my Discord in the pinned comment down below and go to the trading sections. Everybody in all the trading sections will have a copy of this gun, I promise. Basically, what this gun does is it has 2 firing modes. It has grease mode, and then it has the fire starter mode. So what a bunch of people figured out that you could do with this is go into co-op with your friends. A couple of you spray grease, and then the last person shoots the fire starter, and this does absurd amounts of damage. It's actually hilarious. So what's pretty awesome is you can give this to your clone. He will be summoned with the fire starter, and what you want to do is spray grease all over enemies, and then the clone will ignite them. Now, this takes a little bit of coordination, and I honestly only think this is really good for boss killing. So you guys see some boss killing clips in the background, but this gun was so explosive and so amazing. and literally puts out some of the most absurd damage that I had to include it in this slot. So moving on and coming on at number 4, we have one of my actual favorites. I would put this much higher if I actually thought it deserved to be a little bit higher, and I am a little biased with this gun. This is the Beacon. This is a Maliwan pistol from DLC 3. You get this from a named enemy called Jarek Logan in the Blood Sun Canyon. Once again, remember, you want to be looking for the right element on the primary firing mode, because that's the mode the clone's gonna get. I actually posted a build, my very first clone build was using the Beacon. Back when the clone first got buffed, this was my first gun I used with him, and the first build I posted. And this is an amazing weapon. I paired a shotgun with a transformer since it shoots splash damage, and when you reload it, it creates these novas that does millions of damage to all the enemies around it. The clone with the Beacon is just so fun to use and so fun to look at. It is an amazing option for him. So like I said, you really want to, since this shoots splash damage, if enemies get close to him, he will damage himself when firing it. So you really want to get a shock or a radiation version and then pair that with the transformer or the red suit. These novas are just so amazing to look at, and it's so awesome to see clone do damage with this gun. Moving on, we are all the way up at the top 3. Now, a lot of the earlier choices were very fun, and that's why they got included, because they were very fun and very powerful. These top 3 guns I had to put up here literally just based on their power. Now, don't get me wrong, of course they are fun to use. Of course, all these guns have special effects and do awesome things, but these guns are seriously up here for the raw power they do with the Digiclone, and I think they are almost unmatched. So coming in at number 3, we have the Anarchy Shotgun. From DLC 2, you can farm this from Kukua Jack, but it's also just a world drop in DLC 2. I honestly recommend farming Amok or the Empowered Gron, almost at the end of DLC 2. So go find that. Basically, what this shotgun does is every time you get a kill or reload your shotgun, you will get a stack of Anarchy. You can get up to 10 stacks of Anarchy, and this gives you something like 1,000% damage on this shotgun. And when you put this in the hands of the Digiclone, it does some amazing work. Now, like I said, the Digiclone is very strong with this, but I actually included this a little bit lower because he has to stack it up himself. Like, you know, you don't just summon him with full stacks. Now, what is great is when the clone reloads, he also will stack Anarchy, and when he gets kills. So just summon him. After a second, he will get some kills stacked up. And as you guys can see from the footage, we are playing on True Guardian Takedown. And I also want to show a cool boss kill. And this is why I included this one a little bit lower. I actually think the Anarchy is some of, like, the best damage you can get on the clone, but because he has to stack it up and you can't just really summon him into a boss arena and just insta-kill the boss like some of the higher weapons, I had to put this a little bit lower. Now, keep in mind that this is a splash weapon, but it doesn't deal self-damage, so you can really experiment with this gun, give your clone all the elements, whatever you want. And then finally, I want to show off this quick boss kill. This was a Tron Kill. Basically, what I did was I summoned the clone behind Tron where those enemies spawn. I let him kill those enemies. Then I run into Tron's arena and I summon him against Tron, and you can see he makes short work of him. Seriously, this gun is super powerful. I posted another build called Zanarchy, which uses the clone and the Anarchy in your hands to deal some massive damage from the clone, but also some massive damage from Zane himself, and it's a very fun way to play in my opinion. Moving on and coming in at number 2, we have a Vladov RPG that you can get from none other than Agonizer himself. We've got the Backburner. Now, the Backburner is a truly explosive weapon that fires out these orbs that then shoot out these secondary projectiles. On top of all of that, this gun does friendly fire, which is pretty hilarious, and you can actually do some very cool things, like pairing a shock backburner with a transformer. Now, you see this trend in my list often, but what's really cool is your clone can shoot you with the backburner, and he will heal your shields with the transformer. Now, obviously, he's not going to aim at you. You're going to have to go near an enemy, but it's just a really cool touch where the clone can actually do a ton of damage, but also heal you with the transformer. On top of that, this is an amazing gun for boss killing, mobbing, you name it. It doesn't even matter. And I had to include this very high up in the list. And even though this one is number 2, what do you think that says about number 1? Now, we have no honorable mentions, no fluff in this video. We are moving on straight to number 1. And I actually think this is probably one of the most versatile and one of the best weapons on the clone. It was very hard to put this at number 1 and make the decisions for this list, but you know, I had to do it to post this video. We have the Sandhawk sniper rifle. You can farm this one from Katagawa Jr. Keep in mind it's a Mayhem 6 exclusive, so you have to be at least on Mayhem 6 or higher to get it. The Sandhawk is an absolutely devastating, dull sniper rifle. This basically shoots 7 projectiles which form in the shape of a bird, but they deal splash damage, and the clone shoots this gun very well. He shoots it very fast. They are super high damage with like 9,000 times 7 on the weapon card. They deal splash damage, meaning they get your splash bonuses. You actually don't have to pair this with a transformer or anything like that because the clone will not deal self damage with it. And he deals absolutely insane amounts of damage to mobs, bossing, whatever, you name it. This isn't like the Anarchy where you have to stack it up. You just summon the clone and he will shred anything in front of him with this gun. The Sandhawk is definitely one of my go-tos if I want a quick, easy gun to use. Not only that, but I can hold this gun as well and put out some insane damage on Zane himself. I truly think this is, like, honestly one of the top weapons. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard putting this list together and making this list, but the Sandhawk is seriously, seriously powerful. Now, it's not one of the most fun options. I seriously put this at number 1 because of how good it is. And that was our top 7 list of my favorite 7 guns for Zane's clone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I definitely left some stuff off of this list. So tell me your favorite clone guns. Tell me what you think about my list. And tell me if you even expected some of the guns to end up on here. There was seriously some unique options that I thought was really cool. And anyways, guys, that's going to be it from me. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.